A question, first of all, about whether it should be implemented in September 2022 or postponed because of the pandemic. So that's the big question. And within the content questions, people are asking about how to build a culture of peace and non-violence. There's another question around what should be included in the new code for relationships and sexuality education. And then there's another question about what should be included in the new framework for religion, values and ethics. Okay, so it's a bit like your starter for 10. You're 2 minutes on this topic. Deviation, fair enough. Repetition, as you like. Your 2 minutes start now, Jeremy.
Oh, thank you. Well, as I mentioned in my opening comments, the vote cast in favour of this legislation is one of my proudest moments, really. Just to be absolutely, clear, I think it's as the NSPCC would tell us, it's a curriculum which has pupil well-being and safeguarding at its heart. And I was frankly very dismayed to see the number of votes from other parties against it. I may be naive, but I was genuinely shocked by that. Myself, I think that providing for embedding inclusive RSE education in the curriculum is fundamental to making Wales an inclusive country. I speak as a gay kid who went through school who never had his own experience reflected back at him, and we're a diverse country. We want to encourage people to feel comfortable in their own skins, and so I was proud to vote for the bill on that basis. I think it does great things for Welsh language education and for teaching children their place in the ethical universe around values, religious perspectives, and I think that is integral to the development of an individual, and I myself think that every child is entitled to the full curriculum in that regard, and we owe individual children that responsibility. There is, we are coming at it after a period of a year of trauma in schools, in terms of what teachers and staff and pupils particularly have had to go through. But I still think, speaking to people in my own constituency, actually people think there's an opportunity, to make the introduction of the curriculum next year a real success, learning from what we've been through in the last year. So I myself am very optimistic about it. I'm happy to answer any questions that anybody has, obviously.
Sian, do you share that optimism?
Dwi'n meddwl bod rhaid ni wrando yn ofalus iawn ar be mae'r proffesiwn yn ddeud wrthon ni. Maen nhw wedi bod yn gweithio mor galed ac mae yna broblemau yn codi o ran hunan les ac o ran y straen maen nhw wedi bod o dan fo. Y broblem fawr efo'r cwricwlwm ydy nad oes na ddim digon o arian yn mynd i'n hysgolion ni. Mae'n ysgolion ni wedi bod yn cael ei tan gyllido am yn rhy hir, ac oni bai bod yr athrawon, yr ysgolion yn cael yr adnoddau a'r cyllid priodol mwyn iddyn nhw gael yr amser i ddatblygu'r cwricwlwm newydd a dulliau newydd o ddysgu, fydd o ddim yn gweithio. Un peth ydy deud bod hwn yn cwricwlwm arloesol a mae'n mynd i newid bob dim. Mae gynno fo'r potensial i wneud hynny, dwi'n cytuno. Mae yna rei elfennau ohono fo dwi'n credu y gellid fod wedi mynd yn bellach efo fo, ond ar y cyfan dwi'n meddwl bod yna potensial mawr yna, ond mae rhaid iddo gael ei gyllido yn iawn, a dyna pam y bysa Llywodraeth Plaid Cymru yn cychwyn ar y broses o roi arian digonol i'n ysgolion ni ac yn cyflogi erbyn diwedd tymor cyntaf mewn Llywodraeth 4,500 o athrawon a staff cymorth ychwanegol mwyn rhoi y gefnogaeth llawn sydd i heiddi i'n plant a'n pobl ifanc ni.
Oh, now, Jeremy, I'm going to go to Mia first, and then Jeremy, if you want to come back on what Sian has said after that. Mia.
I think Sian will be quite surprised to hear this at this point in the scene, but I absolutely agree with Sian in regards to the underfunding of schools, and the Welsh Conservatives have also committed to 5,000 more teachers. I was really proud that the Welsh Conservatives actually put in an amendment to the curriculum bill to allow schools the option to delay it if they'd found that this year with COVID and everything was just too much, and they just weren't ready. And it was that sort of option to be able to do it. Unfortunately, it wasn't supported. But if a Welsh Conservative government was returned in May, then we would still provide schools with that option to be able to delay in order to be able to really deliver. And what would happen is that they would then have to catch up. So they'd have to introduce it into both year groups. It wouldn't be year groups that would be behind. On regards to a culture of peace, it includes ethical and informed citizens, and I think it's what underwrites that which is critical in order to embedding that culture in our schools. In regards to the code for RSE, as a young bisexual woman at school, I didn't even know it was a thing. I didn't even know it existed, and it wasn't until I went to university that I actually realised who I really was. And I think that was far too late, and a lot of pain and suffering and confusion within myself was cause for not knowing who I truly was. And it would be much better in order to have those discussions open and honestly in school when I was at school. I'm also really proud that teaching about menstrual well-being will be included in the new curriculum. And I really commend Susie Davis's work on endometriosis and in this area. It's really important that both young women and young men know what a good period looks like and how to recognise what a bad period is. And I think that's a really important part of the curriculum. In regards to RVE, I'm pleased that the SAPRA system will include both religious and secular groups. And I think that's the way forward for a modern and inclusive Wales. Thank you.
Right, Jeremy, you wanted to come in.
Yes, I mean, I just wanted to sort of take up Sian's point really about her view that the curriculum has potential. You voted against the curriculum bill, Sian, so I'm wondering whether you would have preferred for the curriculum not to have been introduced, or whether you're pleased that it has been.
I can answer that, Jeremy, thank you. The bill itself, in my opinion, was faulty. I think the whole idea of the new curriculum and allowing teachers to be creative and measuring young people on their individual progress, all those aspects are fine. But I don't think that there is enough scaffolding around it. There aren't enough guidelines, and that's what the teachers are telling me. And there was an opportunity at the stage when we were passing the actual legislation to include more elements that could be specific, that teachers could turn to. For example, the history of Wales. The history of Wales is not going to be a statutory requirement in all schools, which I think is a missed opportunity, and that could have wronged a lot, put right a lot of wrongs that need sorting out in Wales.
Well, I mean, just
go on quickly.
Just to be clear, Sian, there are a whole range of curriculum topics which did not appear on the face of the bill. So your advocacy of putting Welsh history in the face of the bill puts it in a category different from maths, Welsh, well, not Welsh actually, but maths, science, and a range of other topics. So
yeah, but it does put it.
You were not advocating for those to be on the bill.
No, but it would
be on the bill. And I'm confused as to why you would do one and not the other.
Right.
Because well, relationships and sexuality education is on the face of the bill, as is religion and ethics. And in my opinion, the history of Wales in all its diversity should also have been there as one of those mandatory elements.
But not maths and geography.
Okay, now Mia, do you want to just chip in quickly, or shall I put in? I've got a couple of other questions about education. Do you want to chip in on this?
I didn't have an opportunity to vote on the bill, so I can't comment.
Right. Okay, two broadening questions. One is about what role should the Welsh Government play in promoting international development, that sense of guiding, using education in the international sphere. And another question, which is about actually developing education post-school. How will you ensure education for sustainable development and global citizenship can be embedded in lifelong learning to ensure people in Wales have the skills that they need? And let's just go around in the same order again on education. So Jeremy, over to you.
Well, I mean, just to say, I think that the What Matters statement in the space of ethically informed citizenship and global citizenship is fundamental to this. And I think there's a that's a really good part, really strong offer, if you like, in the curriculum, is to help locate individual students in Wales in that global context. And I think there's that's a very exciting opportunity, if I can put it like that.
Okay.
You know, in a very practical way, in terms of education further in life, one of the things I'm very extremely pleased that at the end of the last financial year, we were able to find in the budget funding to roll out an international exchange programme for further education, workplace learning and higher education in the next Senedd term, to replace the lost Erasmus scheme, which shamefully the UK government withdrew Wales from. And I think having that opportunity for people, not just in university, but also in the workplace and in FE, to be able to spend time overseas in other parts of the world beyond Europe as well, I think, continues to provide Welsh, young people in Wales with a really global framework and a global context for their studies and work.
Sian.
Diolch yn fawr. Wel, yn sicr mae yna gyfle gwirioneddol i fod yn rhoi pwyslais ar ddinasyddiaeth ac ar fagu pobl ifanc sydd yn ddinasyddion y byd ac ddinasyddion o Gymru hefyd. Ac mae yna hefyd gyfle gwirioneddol i ddysgu, i roi pwyslais ar ddemocratiaeth a sut mae'n prosesau democrataidd ni yn gweithio. Mae hwnna i gyd eto yn botensial sydd yna yn y cwricwlwm, ond mae rhaid i athrawon gael y cyfle i ddatblygu i'w sgiliau nhw, ac dwi'n rhoi pwyslais ar ddatblygiad proffesiynol a creu'r gofod priodol yna o fewn yr amserlen ysgol i athrawon gael amser i ddatblygu'r math yma o agwedda, yr agwedda rhyngwladol yma sydd mor bwysig. Ac o ran ar ôl gadael yr ysgol neu ar ôl yr oedran 16, dwi'n meddwl bod hi'n bryd rwan i'r gwahaniaeth mae rhwng yr vocational a'r addysg uwch a rhwng y gwahanol gymwystera, bo hynny gyd angen i ni edrych o ddifri arno fo ac symud tuag at system lle mae gynnon ni yr un parch a'r un bri yn cael ei roi i addysg alwedigaethol ac y mae o i addysg mwy academaidd. A fyddwn ni'n meddwl bod angen i ni feddwl o ddifri rwan. Ydy'r system o gymwystera sgynnon ni, yr system asesu sgynnon ni, yn ffit i bwrpas o gofio fod y cwricwlwm newydd yn gyrru ni i gyfeiriad lle mae datblygiad a chynnydd yr unigolyn yn bwysig.
Diolch. Thank you very much, Sian. So, Mia, to you, the international perspective and also that lifelong learning perspective.
Yeah, of course. The new curriculum seeks for young people in Wales to be citizens of Wales and the world. And I think what we do with that particular what matters statement will be interesting. And I think that there will be hopefully further guidance. And if there isn't, there needs to be substantial training for teachers so that teachers can truly teach what that means. And that would include international development and our role as Wales and as Great Britain in the whole of the the world. In regards to global citizenship post-16, I think that's a really interesting idea, and I think that there's been a number of sort of attempts at this, which have just led to very frustrated young people feeling that they're doing a sort of Mickey Mouse subject which doesn't gain them anything. And this new curriculum really gives us opportunity to bring citizenship within the curriculum, and then for that to sort of be just part of what we do rather than necessarily being a separate subject. And I think that that's the way to do it. Of course, this curriculum only goes to 16. It doesn't go to 18 or further. So what we do through there, I think, needs a further thought. In regards to the end of Erasmus, I think that the Turing scheme, which the Welsh government, the UK government, are introducing, I think it provides really international opportunities for young people in Wales, both in FE and in HE, and I think that's a really positive thing, and I think that we should celebrate that. Thank you very much, Sarah.